was allowed to visit him in the recovery room. She was shocked by what she saw. Her husband was suspended above the bed while the staff changed the sheets, blood still dripping from the 60 holes in his back, glossing red onto the crisp white linen. He was like a colander, she later confided. But she couldn't stay with him for long. The shock of the incident had sent her into premature labour. She was having contractions every 2 minutes. Her destination was a maternity hospital a couple of miles across town. The baby, the couple's second son, didn't actually arrive for another 3 weeks. By then, the shooting victim had been discharged and was home, albeit only able to slowly, painfully move from bed to chair and back again. While the initial pace of recovery would be infuriating for a patient who was anything but patient, his resolve did accelerate the healing process. Just 6 weeks on from Easter Monday. 6 weeks after his body was decimated by that buckshot blast, he carefully climbed onto a bike and gently rode for 5 kilometers. At this point, he was still the reigning champion of the Tour de France. Act 1. The First Week. Chapter 1. The Contenders. I'd again become sales-worthy in the eyes of the press. Pictures of the likely winner shift a newspaper or two. Laurent Fignon. 2 years, 2 months and 11 days after Greg LeMond's gurney crashed through the doors of that emergency room in Sacramento, the American was back in competition in the world's greatest bike race. It was the 1st of July, 1989, and the occasion was the prologue time trial of the Tour de France, the opening encounter of that year's race. It was also Le Mond's first appearance since his victory 3 years earlier. Back then, he was radiating in the golden glow of the fated yellow jersey as the Tour's first North American winner. By 1989, however, he was wearing the lime green and indigo colours of the Belgian ADR squad, a wild-card outfit who'd only been accepted into the race after Le Monde himself organised an additional half-past-the-11th-hour sponsor who could cover the team's entrance fee. Here in Luxembourg, the city around which the prologue was to kick off the tour, Le Mond's presence was somewhat remarkable. Following the near-death experience of the hunting accident, he had missed the 2 subsequent tours, back under the surgeon's knife for appendicitis and tendinitis respectively. By now, Le Monde was a pale shadow of his former formidable self, a man rebuilding his career, learning his craft again, all the while battling demons, both physical and psychological. Were he signed to a more prestigious, more reliable and better funded team than ADR, 1 or 2 more observers might have taken his participation a little more seriously. But the team's raggle-taggle roster, allied to his lack of form over the previous 18 months, meant the collective verdict on Le Monde was that he was an also-ran, a spent force, yesterday's man. While the eyes of the Luxembourg crowd were fixed on him, it was more out of morbid curiosity than viewing him as the man most likely to succeed, both that afternoon and over the following 3 weeks. While he didn't exactly represent a freak show, the talk that day was more about him actually competing than indulging him with talk of possibly being crowned champion ever again. It was Le Mond's bravery that was being admired. This was, after all, a man who still had more than 30 shotgun pellets lodged into various muscles and organs, including that pair in the lining of his heart. By the time he arrived in Luxembourg, he viewed the pellets as part of my body now, part of my character. Nowhere, not on the lips of fans, pundits or bookmakers, nor among the tactical plans of various team directeurs sportifs, was the name of Greg LeMond being touted as a serious contender for the title come the peloton's arrival in Paris 3 weeks hence. Instead, the sensible eyes and the safe money were on reigning champion Pedro Delgado, the clear favourite. An exhilarating climber whose riding style became more explosive the steeper the gradient, the Spaniard's triumph on the Champs-Élysées the previous July had been more than comfortable, his 7-minute margin of victory indisputably made easier by the absence of both Le Monde and the 1987 champion, Ireland's Stephen Roche. Delgado's elevation into the Tour's history books, though, was a tarnished one. After the 17th stage of the 88 Tour, the French TV channel Antenne